Speaking of Cruz, basically Cruz and Trump advisors are saying they will block Kasich more or less from participating or prevailing at a contested convention. Here's Senator Cruz himself.
We had that in '76 between Reagan and Ford. If Donald and I both go into the convention with a whole bunch of delegates, but just shy of 1237, then the delegates decide, and that's actually democracy. That's how the democratic process is supposed to operate.
All right, so he sounds like he's more or less with the RNC on that. What do you think will happen in July in Cleveland?
Well, this is where all the speculation is kind of silly right now. The key thing is, can Cruz start winning some of these primaries? He had a very poor night last night.
Are you for Cruz, Steve?
No, I'm not endorsing anyone yet. But what I want to see is a real debate on these issues, because I think that can, especially in this fluid environment, Trump has his core. But above that, I think it's still wide open.
Okay, well, Trump certainly has a core, and at this point, at least as we saw last evening, more than a core. If you look at Florida, I mean, he trounced Senator Rubio. Here's a clip of Rubio's concession speech.
I ask the American people, do not give in to the fear. Do not give in to the frustration. We can disagree about public policy. We can disagree about it vibrantly, passionately. But we are a hopeful people, and we have every right to be hopeful. For we in this nation are the descendants of go-getters. In our veins runs the blood of people who gave it all up so we would have the chances they never did. We are all the descendants of someone who made our future the purpose of their lives.
So, Steve, I was doing the interactive map all last night. I mean, when we blew up Florida, the only county, one county that Marco Rubio got was his home county of Miami-Dade. All the rest was purple. Every other county went for Trump. And actually, this is a mini version from last night. But, I mean, what do you think of that? That's extremely defeating, obviously, for Rubio. We saw him give up. But what does this mean for his delegates going forward? What does this do to the equation?
Well, that, again, depends on the circumstances. If Rubio decides to back Cruz, then I think those delegates will probably go for Cruz. If Cruz demonstrates that he can win contests, especially some of the big states. And in terms of Rubio himself, everyone knew, and we all know polls have been very volatile this year, not always accurate.
Yeah, they've been wrong in some cases.
In Michigan, sensationally. But the trouncing that he took last night means he's got a lot of work to do. He started with that very gracious concession speech, but it also underlined the flaw of his campaign. He had this aspirational, inspirational approach, but he never backed it up with his proposals on taxes, saying, here's how we can do this. Never did it on a systematic basis.
Well, and he flip-flopped on immigration, and it just seemed like he
was
was
see, that underlines something very important. Trump made immigration the big issue. The other candidates missed their opportunity to establish another issue, like the tax code, like Obamacare, as the big issue.
I'm glad
Trump
you said
defined the agenda. You let a candidate define the agenda, you're automatically behind.
And he is talking, to your point, about things that people care about. Immigration, certainly top three, Medicare, Social Security. And when you look at that Florida map, you saw all the retirees. If you look to that Gulf Coast, I mean, they all went for him. Which brings me to the next point. Trump versus Hillary, if it ends up being like this in November, what do you think happens? I mean, they both have, obviously, a lot of support. They also have high negatives.
What you're going to see, first of all, what you got a taste of in 2012, is you're going to see a nastiness at a level that we haven't seen in a good long time, where they each try to tear each other down, because certainly on the Clinton side, they know they've got real flaws. They got to make people think, oh, Donald Trump will be worse than Hillary Clinton for all of her past and the baggage of the present. And with Trump, he's not going to hesitate to go back and give in kind. The question is, what resources will Donald Trump have as his proposal? The Democrats will raise $1 billion or more to go after Donald Trump. Can Trump get those resources? He's going to have to open up his own checkbook in a way that he might not have anticipated. We'll see. But then the key thing for Trump, especially if he wins the nomination, gives that acceptance speech in Cleveland at the convention, whole nation's going to be watching. That I can guarantee you. And the question is, will he put forth a Reagan-esque kind of sunshine? We'll move forward in a substantive way where people say, I had some doubts, but maybe I'll take another look at this man.
I think people are waiting also to see who he may place to be around him, cabinet advisors, and
what kind of teams is he going to put together, not to mention his VP choice for vice president. And so all of that, people want to be reassurance that this is going to be a real team, just as Reagan did. One man can't run the federal government, but you've got a team that can make it happen.
Go to your experts. Steve Forbes, glad you're one of ours. Thank you very much. Steve Forbes with me there.